Hey fellow Rangers, it's me, Mario. Today let's talk a bit about Cowboys. One of the three main strategies you're going to find in Great Western Trail, probably the easiest one to understand. It's still quite difficult to master it though, and probably the most linear one. You're going to get points through the game. They're going to be increasing in time, but not as much as with other strategies. So let's call this strategy a linear one, even though it's not really completely linear. So what do you aim for going for Cowboys? Where you're going to buy some cowboy heads, of course, and then you're going to use them to buy a lot of cows from the market. The bulk of your points are going to come from cows. There are some conversions that are the best, some other ones that are not the best. We're going to discuss about them briefly later on. But just remember that not many points are going to come from cities deliveries. That's pretty important. That's something that I've already underlined in my main strategy video. But just remember that you won't get much points from deliveries. On an average game, I would say you're going to get something like 2 points out of deliveries, something like that. It's probably Albuquerque into El Paso into San Diego, that's 14, and minus 12 for two Kansas City deliveries. It's going to be a bit different in second edition games, since you're going to get 4 coins out of Kansas City, so it might make sense to go here only once. I've done it once or twice and I enjoyed it quite a bit. But yeah, I would say that you should expect between like 2 and 8 points, and sometimes even like negative points. It depends a lot. The best thing is that you're going to get a lot of points from cows and you're going to squeeze through the loop quite fast. So, since your main aim is to get heads and to get cows, the position of the cow market is very important, and the position of this building is also pretty important. As with pretty much every strategy, I would say is better if you can get the heads before the cows. But I mean, it's not that important. It depends on a lot of things. But the cow market being in position B is probably one of the best things. What you want to do right at the start of each loop is to go fast and don't stop too early. So you want to either stop on one of your buildings over here or on the building over here. Then you would like to take another action somewhere here and then go to deliver. Um, this other action is going to be very important and it's going to be determined by your private buildings, because cowboys are pretty much made on two different buildings, but one of them is the strongest one. So let's start with that first. This is 4B. I'll introduce you to 4B. 4B is probably the strongest building in the game by itself, and it's also by far the strongest one for Cowboys. It's going to apply attacks of 2 in 4 players and 1 in 3 players games. It's going to let you draw and discard for each cowboy head you got, and then you get 3 steps. Those 3 steps are probably the most important thing for every strategy. I mean, if you're going for cowboys, the first half of the action is also very important. But 3 steps are really important for a few things. They can help you reach more buildings, like take a look at this building here. At this point, the yellow player can reach this building, this one, and also this building, which is pretty amazing. Like getting 3 options out of one of your placement is very awesome. And even if somebody chooses to stop this this spot here, you still get 2 choices. This is very strong and it's a very good position for B. Another good position is sometimes early in the loop, so that you can get here, but you can also get the option of going here by positioning one of your private buildings. Depends a bit. But by far the strongest position for 4B is over here. That's easily said. It's because you can jump straight up from 4B to Kansas City. This is incredibly strong because you're going to draw and discard just before delivering, which is exactly the time you want to draw and discard to get the ideal hand. So this position is normally heavily fought for in competitive games, and this one is worse because often you don't want to discard a card to get the reward, which is one certificate and two coins. And of course, you don't want to jump through the hoops of going through hazards over here. But it's still pretty decent because if you can go and deliver, that's pretty good. So this position is very strong. It's actually less strong for Cowboys if the cow building or like here, the head market is in one of those two positions. Because at that point, you're going to draw and discard, but then you will probably have to stop, like here if it's early on, but here each and every loop pretty much. So this position is the strongest one in the vacuum, but it can get considerably less strong if one of the important buildings is in one of those two positions. So keep that in mind. But overall, 4B is what you should aim for. It should be the first building you go for. If you can get an extra builder, go for it and then buy Cowboys. If you can't, you can just position, like in this game, a taxer over here and then upgrade it later on. There are, I mean, there are a lot of ways you can get it work, but going for Cowboys is for sure the best one. So 4B is incredibly important. Another pretty good building you can get is 2A, which is the extra cow market, which is not actually in this game, but I'm going to show you it's in another one that I got ready here. This is the extra cow market. The extra cow market is very strong. It's not as strong as 4B because I mean 4B doesn't really require you a stop, and also 4B does tax your opponents. So that's pretty strong already. But this building is pretty good because you can discard a white cow for 4 coins, which is already incredible. It's the best conversion of a discard action into coins you can get. And then you get an extra go to the car market, or even better, you're only go to the cow market. Depending on how much the other people have built, you can actually get away with hitting this building and then maybe hitting something like MBD to get some coins and maybe move the train a bit. And then you can go and deliver. So this building is very flexible. You can ignore it if, like in this game, if neutral building E is in the B position or in another very good position on your loop. So you can actually ignore it. But it's always a very nice option if you go for Cowboys because you can position it in the best spot on the map for you. You can try to hit those two, even though it's pretty hard. To hit those two each and every loop, you should have also moved the train a bit to get more coins out of deliveries and not have to stop too much to get coins. But I mean, stopping on the two of them can also get you more options, and stopping only on this one is also ideal. This building also works really well with the hazard spots, since you can get more value out of your action and you can even try to get more points out of the deliveries. It's again, it shouldn't be your main goal, but it can happen every now and then, and it's pretty good if you can make it happen. So NBA pretty good. If 2A is not in the game, I would look at again the cow market down in the spot, or this building down in the spot, because this building is pretty good regardless. In second edition game, even more so, but even not in second edition game, you can move your train a bit and get a lot of coins for your deliveries. That said, there are also two main ways you can play Cowboys. One of them is by not moving the train at all. That's the one that I mastered, I think. I find myself comfortable playing without moving the train at all. It's not easy. You're going to find yourself coin short at some point, so you should find other ways to get coins or just optimize your loop. Thanks to something like 3A, which can give you more coins each time you eat something. Let's see. This is 3A. 3A lets you discard 2 cows for 3 coins and lets you move one step. This is pretty strong in front of the cow market for a cowboy player. It helps him cycling cows faster. It can support 4B if 4B is in the game, or it can just help you quite a bit getting good deliveries if you don't get lucky and don't get 4B in the game. So this building can help you quite a bit in getting coins. And the other main ways to play Cowboys is to try to dance a little bit with the other players early on with train movements and try to pass by the three crosses. Passing by these three crosses is pretty important because if your delivers are going to be something like Albuquerque, El Paso, San Diego, or just Albuquerque, El Paso, Santa Fe, and Colorado Springs, that's already pretty good. You're going to save 3 coins per each delivery, which is going to be a good amount. By the end of the game, it's going to be 12 coins or so. So um, this is also pretty good. I mean, you can move even um, more than that, but I would say that passing the three crosses is the most important thing for the Cowboys if you can get it. So yeah, 3 amazing, 2A amazing, 4B just incredible. Let's talk a bit about breaking points. So when you're playing Cowboys, what you're looking at is trying to get 4 Cowboys pretty fast. Like the first Cowboy is pretty important because it's going to halve the price of a 3 cow. And normally you want to get this one and after that this one and pretty much never this one. Never wanting this one is just because it's a very bad conversion and because you won't get much point out of deliveries anyways. So this cow is pretty much bad, so you should try to ignore it. 3 Cowboys are decent to get 2 of those or to get one of these, but the best breaking point, which is the same for pretty much every strategy in my opinion, is the fourth um, worker. The fourth worker is going to help you get a hazard, which might help you quite a bit in many games because it might help you get a better loop, just trying to pass through the hazard pad instead of paying coins to the other player's tax booth, but it's the best because you can get for 6 coins you can get a 5 value, a Texas Longhorn. Texas Longhorns are the best cows in the game for obvious reasons, and getting one early enough, it's very good. So to me, 4 Cowboys is a breaking point. After that point, I might try to only get cheap Cowboys. I'm not fighting anymore to get cheap Cowboys. But if I can get them, that's cool because getting to 5 is pretty good. For 5 Cowboys, you can get 2 4s, 2 Highlands for 8 coins, which can lead you to the best possible conversion in the game per action for Cowboys, which is 8 coins for 10 points, because 2 4s can be worth 10 points, depending on your luck, of course. But still, I think that the fourth Cowboy is probably the most important one. I'd also advise you against buying a Texas Longhorn for 12 coins and 2 Cowboys. I really think, after many, 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 many games, I really think it's going to hamper your game too much. It's really hard to get a 5 and then get other Cowboys and get the ball rolling. So I would say that getting a 5 cow early on for only 2 Cowboys is something you shouldn't do in the great majority of games. I mean, it happened to me, so it's not something that it's impossible, but it can happen. So yeah, there's that. And let's talk a bit about when 4B is not in a game or 2A is not in a game. So when you need to find a plan B to be able to score enough. Like in a game where you're able to stop here, you also have to find another stop that can help you quite a bit. One of them can actually be the neutral building that lets you remove hazards. That's neutral building F, which is this one. This one can help Cowboys quite a bit actually if there is no private building that can help them, because it both helps them cycling the deck, and they are the ones that can get the most by cycling the deck faster because they can get better cows earlier, and it can also help them smoothing up their loop because they are probably the strategy that wants to run the most through the loop, just because their ideal stop is just a cow market pretty much. So this building can actually work out fine. Another one is again the plan of taking some steps on the rails. That can be done by stopping on neutral building D or on one of these buildings. You can also hire an engineer every now and then if it makes sense from a tactical point of view. Like if you can get a certificate and you know you might get also a station master tile that can be useful for you, then that's good. Otherwise, I would say that Cowboys work the best with a builder, maybe, but Cowboys alone also work pretty well. So yeah, if you need to find a plan B, that normally involves taking hazards or taking a few steps on the rails. There are some very rare games in which you can build a lot, but I would say you shouldn't count on them. Let's talk about some tricky things you should master to become a very good cowboy players. One of them is controlling your reshuffle. With cowboys, you really want to get a cow into your deck and then shuffle so that your whole deck will be upgraded. Sometimes it can get tricky, but if you can get your deck reshuffled just before hitting the cow market, that's pretty bad because it means that you have to wait for another whole deck cycle before accessing to the cow you just purchased. So try to force the shuffle, if not exactly when you hit this building, which is tricky, but it's doable. And actually, 3A helps quite a bit, while 4B makes it a bit trickier, in my opinion. 3A is pretty good, just positioned before the cow market, or just shuffle it right after the cow market. Try not to shuffle your deck just before the cow market, because again, that's going to slow your deck building activities quite a bit. So reshuffling the deck is pretty important. It's very important when you go for a cowboy game. It's not as important for the other strategies, but for a cowboy game is fucking important. And then another thing you should resist is unlocking the extra card. It's not that this doesn't ever work, but it's very tricky to make it work. It costs a lot. Normally, you're going to unlock, I would say that in an average cowboy game, you're going to unlock only two black discs, and they should be the extra movement, which is vital in the first half of the game and in the second half when you need to pass through some, take a look at this loop. You need 6 steps not to waste any movement, not to waste any action. And then you would really like to unlock the other one for 3 points. So this one is already pretty tricky. If you find yourself with heaps of coins for some reason and you think you're going to get a lot of coins and the cow market is at the beginning of the loop and you know you're going to get taxed a lot in the second part of the loop, so the coins you're going to save are going to go to your opponents instead of being kept in your pockets, then you might try to go for that. The problem is that you're really aiming at least hitting San Diego each and every time and probably hit Sacramento before the end of the game. And you might slow down too much in trying to achieve those things. So the extra card, it's rarely worth it. And I think that's it. I mean, Cowboys are not too hard to play. It's difficult to, shape your game around cowboys, but describing a cowboy strategy, it's not that hard. So I would say that I'm pretty much done. So keep in mind everything that I said. 4B is your best friend. 2A is pretty useful in a lot of games. Try to go for cowboys when the cow market is in a decent spot, like in the B spots or in the C spot. Try to run quite a bit. Try to find a plan B if you can't. Run quite a bit. Don't unlock the extra card. Try to time your shuffles correctly and understand that you're going to get not many points out of deliveries and many points out of cows. And that's it. All right. See you for the next strategy video. Bye bye.